So I recently made a video about what's happening in Tigray, and so many people, men, are like, that's not happening, that's not true. So you're basically telling me that firsthand accounts, Amnesty International, the African Consortium of Statistical Research, African Council, I believe, Doctors Without Borders, the United Nations, Human Rights Watch, they're all wrong. But here's the biggest thing. TikTok. So check this out. This guy, and I blocked him. His name is Teddy G, and I wish that I didn't block him, but he was harassing the women in my comments, especially the Tigray women. And that's not acceptable. But I reported his comments for community violation because he said that number one, the women of Tigray deserved it. And number two, he doesn't care that sorry, I have to start over. He doesn't care if it would happen to his own mother, and he hopes that it does. He hopes that his own mother gets raped in the way that the women of Tigray are getting raped. And here's what TikTok said about it. No violations found. Meanwhile, I'm having to go through and approve comments that say something like, ew, if I post a funny video of gross food. Or a comment of mine might get deleted because I said, yikes, to something that's crazy. Crazy funny. Make that make sense.
Disturbing videos I've ever posted, so viewer discretion is advised. Why is no one reporting on the Tigrayan woman being brutalized by soldiers? Tigrayan women are being viciously gang raped by soldiers from Eritrean, Ethiopian, and Amhara forces. Often groups of soldiers will viciously gang rape individuals, specifically women ages less than 8 years old and upwards of 70 years of age, many including pregnant women. When they are finished doing their graping, they will then insert forcibly rusted screws, spikes, metals, sand, even toenail clippers, and acid into the woman's reproductive organs. Many of these stories are so horrific I don't even want to talk about, but I'll mention one of them. Women have been reporting that not only are these grapings happening in their homes, they are happening in front of their children. And one of these women came out and said that these perpetrators, when they were finished doing whatever they were doing, they asked her, are you tired of being raped? Because if you are, we're going to go into the next room and do this to your daughter until she is tired. And when she is tired, we're going to follow up by doing this to your son until we eliminate your entire family. In Hausen, hospitals have been converted to grape camps where women are being tied and held amid military operations. Because these sick individuals, these soldiers that should be upholding honor and protecting the peace, have become the very perpetrators that are causing this violence amongst the innocent. And if that's not all, now these women's health care and their aid has been withheld from them. 90% of survivors of these horrific things that are happening, lack access to critical medical support like emergency contraception, HIV prevention, and psychosocial aid. But yet nobody on the left is reporting on this, and I'm a Republican, and nobody on the right is reporting on this. We're more focused on what ICE is doing and what Mexico is doing and how everybody hates Trump and how everybody hates Biden and so on and so forth. When have we become so blind on what's happening around the world when there are thousands, over tens of thousands of women being affected every single day and nobody's reporting on it? This is the type of message that needs to go viral. This is the type of message that people should be protesting against. This is the type of women's right activists that should be exploding all over the world. But because it's not happening in America, no one's batting an eye. So make sure to let me know what you think in the comment section. Share the heck out of this with as many people as you can, because this is the type of news that needs to make headlines. And don't forget to hit that follow button for your daily updates.
Rape is being used as a weapon of war in Tigray right now. Women as old as 17, girls as young as 8 years old are being subjected to gang rape, sexual violence, and mutilation from Eritrean, Ethiopian, and Amhara armed forces. This is one of the most evil things I've ever heard. Targeted ethnic cleansing by destroying the wombs of women. They are putting objects such as acid and nails, sand inside of these women's bodies so that they can no longer reproduce. And they had a ceasefire in 2022, but that didn't mean the troops left. The troops never left, and the sexual violence continues to reign on till today. They're intentionally spreading HIV and destroying these women's bodies so that they can no longer reproduce. The crazy thing is, I only heard about this morning. This has been happening since 2022. Ethnic cleansing through sexual violence is one of the most underreported things in the world. How is that possible?
I'm increasingly aware that there are a lot of individuals that are trying to spread misinformation to justify what happened in Tigray. Aside from the fact that the misinformation they are trying to spread doesn't even justify what went on in Tigray, I think it is important to call things out. There are many ethnic nationalists within Ethiopia who are trying to reduce what happened in Tigray to a simple tribal warfare where simply revenge for what the Tigrayans did in many different timelines. I'm significantly against collective punishment, and if certain members of the Tigrayan ethnic group were to commit atrocities upon other ethnicities, which I completely condemn, none of that would justify what happened in Tigray. But the truth of the situation is that these people oftentimes have no evidence that there are atrocities that were committed upon other corresponding ethnic groups in a similar light. It is important to note that the Tigray people make up 5% of the Ethiopian population. But there's absolutely no evidence that Tigrayans committed any of the atrocities in a similar light as they are claimed. And none of it comes to this extent.
Have you guys heard what's happening to women in Tigray? Soldiers have been inserting metal spikes and metal screws inside the women forcibly through their private part, inserting rubbish, trash into them, and also writing handwritten letters which they then wrap around in plastic and then forcibly put it inside the woman. They even found nail clippers, full-size nail clippers inside the women's uterus, and when the soldiers would come into the homes, they would do all this to the women, and after they finished doing that, they would each take turns and grape the woman. Some of these women, when they were being raped, the soldiers would say to them, "Are you tired of us raping you? Is your body tired? Because if you are tired, we're going to go onto your daughter and grape her until she's tired, and then once she's tired, we're going to go and do it to your son and all the rest of your children." All because they don't want Tigrayan women to reproduce, and they want the whole Tigrayan ethnicity to die out. And their stories are so crazy. One of them said that one of the soldiers was stomping on her head with their military boot until blood was pouring out of her ears. There was a 21-year-old girl called Hannah who was kidnapped by these soldiers, and she was taken to this military base which had a whole lot of other women in it, and she was there for 6 weeks, mass raped by soldiers every single day for 6 weeks. And once they were done with her and they thought that the fun was over with her body, they poured acid on her head and they dumped her on the side of the road. And one of the reasons they're not able to get medical help is because they've been threatened by these soldiers. If you guys go to the medical center and get any of this removed or get any help, then we're gonna go find you and finish off the job and kill you. And they also threaten the healthcare providers that if I find out or if we find out that you're helping any of these Tigrayan women, we're gonna end your life and we're gonna do the same thing back to you.
Happening to these women in Tigray, and let me just tell you, it was heartbreaking. Their main goal was to destroy their fertility, make them suffer, and of course wipe out all of their people. So these soldiers were actually raping these women, and then they would insert foreign objects into these women's reproductive organs. Those nails, screws, plastic, sand, gravel, pretty much any type of trash that they could find, they would insert it in there, including letters, and they would wrap the letters up. These women were told that if they talked about it or if they seek medical help, that they would be unalive. Woman number 1 was raped by 7 men. They then inserted metal into her uterus. Of course, she got an infection. She couldn't stop bleeding. Woman number 2 was a 27-year-old mom who went looking for food. 23 soldiers took her and abused her for 11 days. They tied her up, they shoved items inside of her, and then they broke her leg. Number 3 was a woman who was raped by 3 men after they unalived her husband and they burned his body. Number 4 was a woman who was raped in front of her little boy. That day that she was raped, she actually had her neighbor's little 14-year-old girl who was in the other room. They also went in there and they took turns on the 14-year-old. Number 5, pregnant woman was raped for 3 days straight. Number 6 is a 19-year-old girl who was taken, locked up, raped for days. The moment that she tried to escape, she was shot and then she was left on the side of the road. Number 7, there was 5 women together. 30 soldiers come in. Each woman was raped by 5 men. One of the women managed to escape only to make it all the way home and be raped there again. They then took her to another location. They took her 12-year-old and they unalived her 12-year-old in front of her. These are just some of their stories, but trust me, there was so many more. I too went down this rabbit hole as to what was happening to these women in Tigray.